We are back at the Genzo Media House, and I'm so glad to have Belinda here with me from Sharding Capital. And I think it's not only Sharding Capital. You can do a whole lot more than just provide people liquidity, right?
That's correct. So I run a firm, like we do investment, Sharding Capital. This is more capital injection. Apart from deploying capital, we also help the project founders a lot in terms of go-to-market strategy, traction building, KOL, recruitment, etc.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get into this? Because a lot of people, either they are like, they have a lot of money and they're like, I'm just going to throw it into crypto so I can make even more money. But that's not the case for everybody, right?
Yeah, so I'm like a crypto kid because ever since graduation, I just went full-time crypto.
That's awesome.
I actually started my crypto journey here in Dubai. So I was a trainee for the Dubai government back in 2016, 2017. This program is patronized by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed. So I'm like forever grateful of Dubai. So during my trainee program, I was already helping some ICO project with PR and marketing efforts. So after graduation, then I just joined crypto full-time.
Wow,
that's like CMO and then angel investing and now running funds. Yeah.
Wait, you said CMO?
So I was a CMO back in 2016, 2017 already. Yeah.
Oh.
Back then, CMO was the actual term, would do a lot of work. Yeah. Now it's more like a meme. Yeah.
So what did that look like for you? Like, coming from that background, what were you involved with when you were a CMO?
It's basically everything, like from zero to launch. So when you do a project, you need to start with the white paper, like in the ideation phase, and then you set up the website, you do the social media work, and then you raise capital from VCs, from KOLs, and then you also do content creation, distribution, and you talk with exchange for listing, and you talk with, let's say, various liquidity providers, etc. So basically, I experienced the whole journey that allowed me to develop an acumen, understanding what sort of project will potentially make it and have an easier chance to make it. Yeah,
that's incredible. I mean, you literally did everything for a project. Then that doesn't happen anymore. Everything so segmented nowadays. One project is gonna have 30 people working very little different things, as opposed to what you're saying. Like, you literally have the experience of a staff of 30 people. That doesn't happen very often anymore.
Yeah, that's why I think crypto industry is very exciting for me personally, because I get to learn what potentially others learn in 10 years, in 2 years. Yeah, yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I've been in the industry for quite a while, and it seems like the further we go, the faster things are moving. So it's really exciting, really, because I see really good people in the space actually winning nowadays. And it's a lot to do with people like yourself, people that are not only investing in companies, but are doing a little bit more because they have that understanding.
Correct.
So talk to me about when you do invest in companies, what is it that you're doing for them with your company?
Yeah, you have to be in the arena a lot to capture the alpha. Yeah. So yeah, when we invest into a project, we understand the narrative, and we understand what better narratives we can create for them, and the partnerships we can help them introduce, and also the KOLs that we can connect them with, so that they have a wider reach, and also they get to earn more mind share in this crypto space. Yeah,
that sounds like a marketing firm, not an investment firm. Do you have both?
Yeah, so we have both. We are more our position is more of an activist fund.
Got it.
So I like horse racing. So if I describe it, what we're doing is if you're just deploying capital, then you're more of a spectator of the race. So you're more bet on the horse, and then you just cheer for them when the horse is running. But if you are an activist VC, you are like a jockey. So you get to whip the horse when you want to. So you have a higher certainty to the success of the portfolio. Yeah.
I mean, that makes total sense. If you're going to invest in something, you want to make sure that it is successful, right? So you want to do everything you can to make it so.
Exactly.
How has it been going? How long have you been doing this for? And where do you stand today?
So I started crypto in 2016, 2017. So I started more on the project side. And about 4 years ago, I studied more angel investing. So my angel portfolios are for example, Galaxy, Matters, Near, Economy, etc. And for example, when I was helping Galaxy, they only had like less than, I would say, 5,000 people on Twitter. Now they have over 1 million, right?
Oh.
But what we support is that we keep introducing them like quality, I would say, value adders who can, come in, create content for them, or write threads, make videos, and then introduce partnerships, introduce users, and make campaigns with them. So it's a lot more trivial, but it really yields good result for the project to gain more traction. Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, you're literally getting a really big projects off the ground, essentially. So you have a lot of big names under your portfolio, essentially.
Yeah, that's only the angel portfolio. Now we have a bigger portfolio as a fund. So we're investor of Barrachain, Shuffle, Entangle, Movement, Lumio. So we're very, very excited about this project.
Okay, so this brings me to a really important question. Who are you looking for? What kind of projects are you looking to invest in and assist them with marketing?
So I would say, yes, we do look at vertical, and then we do look at founders.
Okay.
So now we actually, because last year we deploy a lot, and this year we mainly deploy on like verticals we're pretty interested in, like, movement. This is a move language ecosystem project. Lumio, also a move language.
Yeah.
So we are pretty bullish on what move language can do, like the non-EVM space, because EVM is a little bit saturated.
Yeah.
Very competitive. So we do want to capture more alpha on the move language ecosystem. And then we also look at a lot of AI plus Web3 sort of plays, like decentralized GPU marketplace, or like AI verification models, etc. Yeah, so we have been like deploying capital into this project.
I love DeepN. Like, that is my bread and butter. I'm looking into DeepN every single day. Can you tell me do you have somebody you're working with as far as GPU already?
We personally are also like acquiring GPUs.
Okay.
Just to provide, but that's more Web2.
Yeah.
But that helps actually with the Web3 project as well, because you can farm on this Web3 project. And I think compute is where you capture the both the alpha and the beta for the AI wave. Because essentially, no matter what kind of project you are, you need compute power. And actually, compute power can be considered as an asset. Capital deployment into a company. Because essentially, when a project raises money, they spend most of the money into compute power. So yeah, we're pretty bullish on this narrative. That's why we investing into some decentralized GPU marketplace.
Belinda's not the first one to say this. Compute is the new oil. Like, it's the new oil. It just is, right? Everybody needs it. And whoever has the most can definitely play a big role into essentially taking, a company from, inception into a big player in the space. Like, I'm currently working with multiple companies that are in the GPU space.
Nice.
And everyone is always about, can you get us some more GPUs? Can you find people that have GPUs? So you're playing both sides of the game. You're saying, we're going to come in with capital. We're going to show you how to do the marketing. And if you need compute, we also have that. We can provide it. That's amazing. I don't know anybody in the space that's doing that.
We're kind of aggregating the potential GPU resources we have, both the lower end and the higher end. But yeah, that's a different story. It's only for the AI-related projects.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And there are a lot of them now, right? I feel like everyone that's trying to raise capital, some of them are just saying, okay, we're going to add AI to this. And you ask them questions, it's like, is there really AI involved in this, or are you just making it up? Have you seen a lot of that recently?
Yes, we do. And the valuation has gone a little bit too crazy. So we're kind of slowing down at this phase if the valuation is like going out of our comfort zone. But yeah, if it's good project and good founders, we still want to support them, invest in them and support them.
Phenomenal. All right. What do you want people to know about what you do and how you do it that maybe I didn't ask you?
So essentially, yeah, like what we mentioned, we are very like activist type of VC. So when we invest capital, we invest social capital, or we also invest a lot of our like KOL resources, media resources, and so basically all the connections that project can potentially do partnership with or strategize their work together with. Yeah.
So, and in the space where your network is your net worth, that means a lot. And I don't think some people even understand that. A VC can give somebody money, but if they don't have, a guide or telling them that this is where you can go, these are the people that you can meet, that money can only go so far, right?
Exactly. And then also, I think crypto is about, like to really make it in crypto, you need to be in the right circle, doing the right things. So because we have survived multiple cycles, so we do know what kind of good names to be associated with and what kind of names that maybe not likely to be associated with, and then what potential like missteps that the project can run into, like in terms of negotiation with certain parties, like, when they pay certain fees. So we'll either auditing, security, listing, there are also the fees involved, and some can get really sharky. So we try to help advise our project founders to not basically make mistakes in this kind of journey. Yeah.
Wow, you're not only supporting good people that are building really cool stuff, but you're also making sure they're not being taken advantage of.
Yeah, I try my best. I mean, it's not like we can really help everyone.
Sure.
So that's why when it comes to investment, we try to make more concentrated bets. Otherwise, it's just like too much to handle. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do try to be more hands-on with our portfolio company, and we just reach out to them whenever they need us. Yeah.
So how many companies do you have in your portfolio right now?
I would say as a fund, we probably have about 15 projects, and we probably only grow like 5 to 10 more, and that's it for the current fund. Yeah.
Okay. And how can people reach out to you and maybe get that, opportunity to be one of those 5 or 10?
So I'm quite active on Twitter.
Okay.
So you can find me Belinda Zhou, the Italian Ciao Belinda Zhou. Yeah. Or our email is the 8@sharding.capital. Yeah.
Phenomenal. Now, this is to help everybody else that's listening to the end of the video, right? What are you looking for? What do you want to hear from these founders that can give them an edge in having, you're listening here and say, you know what, these guys, maybe there's something there. They do really care.
You mean what I look for in a founder?
Yeah.
So I don't really care if the founder is well connected or not in the space, but they need to be focused in one thing and one thing only when they are just starting. Because for us, we invest in early stage. So it matters that the founder know exactly what they're building and then try to curate their first 100 users. That's the most important thing, because marketing and everything, traction building, we can help them later on. That will also naturally come. But if you don't focus on your product and like the first batch of real users, then it's very hard to make it, because it just look like you are not really genuine with the product you're building or the mission you want to set out to do. Yeah.
Very true. Very true. So, hey, founders, make sure you care. Make sure you're out there putting yourself online as well and connecting with your community. You're actually, hands-on, because that means a lot in the space. And I've seen it time and time again where founders are like, yeah, that's my project, but they don't show up. They don't talk to anybody. They barely have a Twitter account. And it's like, you got to be there. You got to be there. You got to show up every single time. And it goes a long way. It shows good faith to working with wonderful people like Belinda.
The other day we held an event at Museum of the Future called Dubai Summit. So we actually had a panel called Crypto Twitter Gang. So we invite people like Jordi Alexander, Hedgehog, Split Capital, etc. And we were asking, right, like, how to use Twitter, etc. We all agreed that Twitter is kind of proof of work. It represents your research in the crypto space, your thesis in the crypto space. So if you are not out there presenting yourself, presenting your project on Twitter, this kind of public goods platform, it's really a waste. And also that shows that founder is probably not on the right path. Yeah.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And I really appreciate you not only being here, but like doing what you do for the space, because honestly, there's so many VCs out there that are just completely hands off. It's the opposite of what you do, right? And you see really, really good companies that have potential not go where they need to go or not go as far simply because they don't have the support that they need. They might have a financial support, but when it comes to that social support and the understanding of where the market's at, it's lacking. A lot of times it's lacking, and that's very different from what you do.
I appreciate that. And I really derive a lot of joy from this. Yeah, helping founders, curating narratives, amplifying narratives, and enable them doing bigger things. Yeah.
All right. I know I'm continuing this interview on and on. What's a big thing that you want to see happen this year still?
I hope we can see the breakout of non-EVM language. Yeah, because we have seen like how popular and flourishing the EVM space have been, and it has its limitations, and it's getting really, really well worked on. So definitely there's a lot of improvement and then like progress we can see. But I think the other like non-EVM language space hasn't seen its bull run yet. So we are betting heavily on this. So we do hope that there'll be more like, traction. I mean, Solana is already a very good case.
Very true.
And we hope to see, like, for some project like Aptos, coming, becoming more relevant.
And I got to tell you, I'm excited about the news that you dropped there because I definitely hold some of those. So it's a good thing for my portfolio, even.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And that's the thing. For you guys out there, look at things other than just EVMs. There's so many builders in the space, and you just can't fade people that are doing it differently, that are just, breaking out of the EVM space and saying, we're going to try something new, we're going to try something exciting. And the proof is in the pudding, right? You have Belinda here who has a ton of experience that's done it all from beginning to end as a CMO and now as a VC looking for exactly that. So if she's looking for it, you should probably look at it too. Belinda, phenomenal. You're doing incredible work in the space. Thank you so much for what you're doing for everybody out there and for sharing a little bit of time and spending time with us here and giving us a little bit of insight.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this talk. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. And hopefully we can do another one soon.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.